Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Frozen with Outdoor Adventures, and thanks for joining me today. I got a lot of PCT questions that I want to go through. I actually tried to film my post-gear Big 3 video, and with Hurricane Helene, and we've been getting a lot of rain in Pennsylvania, at least. Speaking of which, man, it pained me to see the destruction of this hurricane along some of my favorite trail towns along the AT. You know, I hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2019, and just to see Damascus and towns like Hot Springs just completely underwater and destruction everywhere, it really pains me. And I wish I lived closer to these trail towns so I could just, go down and offer some help. But, 8 hours away from me right now. But if you aren't aware, there's plenty of places that you can donate to get these communities back up and running. I know Mischief on the trail, he's doing a bike ride and trying to raise money. I'm going to link some important pages, I think, down in the channel, including his page. If you could help out, that would be great. If you can't, maybe, if you live close to these trail towns, maybe just try to offer your support. They really need it down here. And with another hurricane coming in, it's just going to make things worse. But anyway, let's get to these questions. There's a lot. I'll try to do as many as I can. All right, so let's just dive right in. Knowing the risks of fires and closures, did you consider doing a flip before starting your thru hike, such as maybe going to Washington, then back to NorCal and finishing somewhere in Oregon? And in all honesty, yes, I pretty much convinced myself that this was going to be more than likely something that needed to happen. But as I kept going northbound and, making it past the Sierra, going, past Sierra City and getting close to Etna, that kind of went out the window because I thought I'd have to flip because I was going to get to the Sierra either too early or too late. And I think by the time I reached my first fire, which was right around Etna, I kind of realized how much time this would take me to start flipping up and down, getting a ride to a town, and then using public transportation. It didn't seem feasible with my timeline. I think if you have a few sections or a few bailout points, if you will, that you know exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to get there, I think it's definitely great. But with my timeline, I started, April 12th, and I had to finish by September 1st, which is when my kids went back to school. I had to be back home for that. I didn't want to leave that all on my wife to run around with, 2 kids in school and a baby. So I think if you plan beforehand and you're not on a timeline like I was, I think it's more feasible to do a flip. But it is going to take, several days to make travel arrangements. All right, hopefully that answers your question. Let's go on to the next one here. You mentioned that you were battered up quite a bit after the AT. Was this due to differences in trail conditions, or were you able to learn from your AT thru hike and apply the knowledge to the PCT? And a couple other questions here. I remember when you finished the AT, you were walking around like a senior citizen afterwards. Are you experiencing the same after effects from the PCT? And then another one, how do your knees feel after hiking the PCT? So I can wrap all three of those questions up in one. For a couple weeks after returning from the PCT, I was hobbling a little bit until I decided to do some stretches, which, man, I don't know what it is. I don't know why every hiker, when they get done with their thru hike, they just become complacent and lazy. We sit on the couch and we eat food and we gain 10 pounds like I did. And you don't stretch. That's like one of the most important things that you can do after a thru hike. So I took the experience of just my knees being battered up on the Appalachian Trail thru hike in 2019, and I applied it and I forced myself to stretch more while I was on the PCT. Now, I will say that the PCT physically, after you get past the Sierra, is honestly no other way to put it. It's kind of a joke physically. Okay, it's very, I thought it was very easy. Some other people may have found it hard, but I found that the AT was a lot harder physically and more demanding on your joints, if you will, than the easy grade of the PCT. Not saying that it wasn't hard in certain sections, but it was way easier than anything that I had experienced, Virginia on the AT. So my knees actually hurt for about 2 weeks, and now I think I could, do another thru hike, no problem. Does the PCT have a Canadian extension like the AT? I didn't see an extension through Vancouver that I could find easily. I know that, we at least hiked from the northern terminus into Manning Provincial Park, and that was another 8 miles extended on to the PCT. But the official PCT ends, right? With the AT, there's a way to continue it up through Canada, and even, I think, all the way from Florida to Georgia, I believe. I could be wrong about that. But no, to my knowledge, there is no Canadian extension like the AT. Could be wrong, though. All right, here's a great question. Given your original time schedule for completion, remember April 12th to September 1st, do you think you still would have accomplished your goals if you were free of fires, basically? And also, what was my calculated actual miles out of 2,655.2? So as best I can tell, I believe that I did about 90% of the trail. I think I missed about 340 to 350 miles of trail due to either official fire closures or fires that were happening at the time that we just had to make a quick decision and skip, like the one in Snoqualmie, which I'm still kicking myself for, but it is what it is. Being that I got home on August, 14th, I believe that I could have easily done that extra 350 miles, knowing that we were hitting about 19 miles average per day, and we spent a lot of time in towns. Between my need to charge up my camera batteries and upload footage, which took freaking forever in 4K, by the way, was a real big pain in the butt for me, and Bigfoot's need to talk to his family. His family is in Holland, and they're on a completely different time schedule that we are. Basically, if he didn't talk to them between the hours of 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., Pacific time, he wasn't talking to them. That simple as that. So we tended to leave town very, very late due to that, because I was still uploading videos at that point. But I think doing an extra 350 miles in 3 weeks would have been completely fine. Plus, keep in mind that every time we had a fire closure, we wasted an entire day trying to, one, get a ride, and then two, get to where we needed to camp that day after we arrived at our destination. So yeah, how much rain did you actually have over the trip? Any full days of rain or just some showers? All right, let's tackle that one first. This is a multi-point question. I believe hiking-wise, I only had about 2 hours of rain, and that was in the worst spot possible because it was in a thunderstorm. We were in the Sierra on the top of some pass, going by some lake, and we ran into a thunderstorm, and Bigfoot and I were in very, very cold rain, right around the 1,000 mile mark, I believe. And that was the only time. It rained for about 2 hours. We were trying to find the trail. Our phones wouldn't work because of the water on the phone screen, and that's it. It rained a couple nights, maybe 1 or 2 nights overnight, but other than that, nothing. It didn't rain a lot out while we were out there. It was pretty cool. Very different compared to my AT Thruhike. When you got past the Sierra, how often did you see other hikers? After Forester Pass, we didn't really see that many people at all. And about 100 miles after that, we didn't see a single soul until well after Sierra City, which was a little weird to me. Everyone seemed to have went into town after Forester Pass. We kept going, and I think we got off at Kearsarge after that because we ran out of food or something like that. Something goofy happened like that. We should have packed an extra day of food or a half a day of food. We would have been fine. But yeah, and we didn't see really anyone after that until we started to hit the Etna fire closure, and then we remained in this giant northern flip-flop SOBO fire bubble for the rest of the trail. Kind of sucked, to be honest with you. The fires really smush everybody together, and sometimes we had to claim camp spots early just to ensure that we had a spot to stay for the night, which was a little goofy because they have this wonderful permit system, and then everyone gets bunched up in the middle of the trail anyway because of the fires. So I'm not really sure how, efficient that permit system really is, but I guess it helps early on. Who knows? And did I use a Garmin GPS? So I did. I thought the Garmin GPS played a crucial role in the entire PCT through hike, not only to communicate with my family, but to send messages. And, you know, some of the stuff we were doing in the Sierra was kind of dangerous, I'll be honest. Like the stream crossings, I didn't show you guys some of the dangerous ones, but some of them were up above my shoulders or very swift. And, you know, you get in and it's not just about the water crossing, it's about controlling your breathing. It's hitting you in the chest, right? And you're struggling to breathe because the water is so cold. It's all snow melt. And just having that bailout button, I guess, it played a crucial role in my confidence, you know, knowing that it's always attached to me and I can hit that if I ever get lost. What is the purpose of my fanny bag or fanny pack other than easy access to things? What did you have stored in that bag? And I guess I never went over that. So the only thing that was in my fanny pack was my food for the day. And what I did was, instead of, you know, reaching in a pocket or stopping to take off my pack, I love eating out of little baggies like trail mix or whatever. I just put it in the fanny pack and I just munch out of the fanny pack. That way I don't ever have to stop what I'm doing to get food or to get access to anything in my pack. I have basically all the food in the fanny pack in the morning that I need up till lunchtime. I stop for lunch, have a bagel with peanut butter or Spam or whatever it is, and then I put the remaining food that'll get me from lunch to dinner in the fanny pack, and we'll keep going from there. Protein bars, everything. So it works out really good. That's just how I like hiking. And that's the only purpose of the fanny pack. During town stops, I did have pockets in my shorts that I held my phone, but a lot of the running shorts that people use for their thru hike don't have pockets, or they have this useless back pocket that's meant for your phone for running, but nowhere to put your wallet or anything like that. So people use their fanny packs to store their phone or wallet while they're around town. All right, how does the PCT and AT compare to you personally? I think we touched on that. I will be making an AT versus PCT video just to kind of throw everything together, comparing and contrasting that. So we'll kind of skip that. We'll save that for later. Tips on overcoming frustrations due to fires, which it was really frustrating, guys. I'm not going to lie. It was the most frustrating thing I've ever had to deal with. On the AT, I kept saying this, I was a purist. I saw every single white blaze. I hiked every single mile. And on the PCT, that simply just wasn't possible. Some people that we were hiking around on the PCT, decided that that wasn't their thru hike to skip the fire closures. They either hiked through, which I thought was extremely dangerous and not wise at all, or they found an alternate route where it required them to walk a road for 40 to 70 miles. And that wasn't my hike. I really didn't mind skipping these fires. Yes, it sucked, but what was I going to do about it? I'm not walking a road. I could walk a road here with my dog, you know what I mean? Which I do on a daily basis anyway, around my neighborhood. Like, I didn't spend 6 months salary, we'll say 4 months salary, plus, $11,000, $12,000, whatever it ended up be, to walk a road for a week. That was just not something I wanted to do, but to each their own. Everybody has a different way of hiking. And if I could take a trail to bypass the fire closure and get around it while still maintaining continuous footsteps, that's what I did. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of opportunity in many of these places that we had to skip, unfortunately. They're very, very remote mountainy areas. So my tips to overcome frustration is you just got to realize, and I had this talk with Murica a few days ago, you just have to realize that this isn't like any other trail that most of us have ever hiked before. There's going to be fires on your thru hike, and you need to figure out what kind of thru hiker you are. Are you going to skip it and come back later? Are you going to skip it completely and just say, whatever? Or are you going to try to find a way around it? That's something that you have to make peace with before you get on the hike, so you're not doing what I did and trying to talk yourself in or out of the situation in the middle of the Etna parking lot. So that's just my thoughts on it. Speaking of Murica, he has made it into the Sierra. He's about halfway through going south. So he has 900, 850 miles left to go. So he's doing great. And my opinion on going SOBO is the next part of your question. Honestly, I think it's better than going northbound. I think if you start early July and you're able to move fast enough, I think you're you're either going to miss the fires that are going to be up north because it's still, wet up there. And as you go south in these areas that are prone to fire, like around Etna, around Crater Lake, those very dry areas, I think those are going to burn out. Yeah, you're going to be walking through just ash, but if that's what you want to do, you're still able to see the PCT. Now, we had a joke. We called it the Pacific Burnt Trail. There was a lot of fires. Even when there wasn't a lot of fires, there was a lot of fire damage and destruction. And I didn't like walking through these burned areas at all. So, I don't know, to each their own. The PCT is one of those trails that is just completely different from anything I've ever done. And sometimes that you're just walking hours upon hours, sometimes days upon days, just through burnt, overgrown vegetation that's not very scenic, it's not very fun, but it's the trail. And so as a through hiker with a purist mindset, you want to hike these sections. You can't camp in them, or you shouldn't camp in them. I saw a lot of people camping underneath dead trees that I didn't agree with, but I tried not to camp in these areas. If I could camp on the side of a road, that's what I did. I think there was only one time that we camped in the middle of a burnt section just because we couldn't go anymore that day. It was getting too late, and that's just what we had to do. So again, really get in your mind that this is a very, very fire-prone trail. You're going to be walking through hundreds and hundreds of miles of burnt trail. And that's just the way the PCT is. And your last question here, you discussed the best food places of the trip. What's your take? So easily the two best food places that I've ever been to, not just on the PCT, but anywhere that I've been to, was between the Etna Brewing Company and Murray's in Big Bear Lake. And Bigfoot and I actually had this conversation, and I'll play you that footage now, deciding which one of those two places were the best burger place.
All right, so we're back to this burger thing. We have to figure this out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Murray's,
I think
Etna.
Yeah, the best just classical American burger, I think it's Murray's.
I do too.
I mean, if you're in the mood for something like spicy or whatever, then Etna is the way to go.
Yeah,
but
I'm wondering, without the jalapenos,
yeah,
would Murray?
I think Murray's would be
no contest, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
So as a classic American burger, yeah, I think Murray's.
Murray's is the best burger place on the PCT.
Yeah.
There you go.
But as a specialty burger, Etna
Etna
is a very close second.
It was very close. I agree. We even went back because we were unsure. We got it for lunch and we're like, I don't know. That might have beat it. Let's get it again just to see if it beats.
And we had the exact same burger,
same meal twice
in a day.
So that settled it pretty much. Murray's is the greatest burger on the Pacific Crest Trail and possibly the best burger I've ever had ever. So if you have a chance, Big Bear Lake, definitely go to Murray's. There was karaoke while we were there. It was a lot of fun, great time, great beer as well, and within walking distance of any of the hotels that are in the area and the laundromat. Definitely get there fast. All right, guys, so that's it. That wraps up round one of the question and answer session. I got 3 more of these things to do easily, but if you do have any questions or any general comments for me, leave them down in the comment section below, and who knows, maybe it'll be in the next Q&A, or perhaps if it warrants another topic or a video completely, that's what I'll end up doing. Next steps for me is sometime around Black Friday, I'm hoping there's a deal on this specific camera that I've been researching. I'm gonna upgrade the entire studio setup. Also, I'm gonna be taking walls down and possibly getting some actual furniture that doesn't wobble and just generally making a better YouTube studio because I do have some extra money from the PCT and I plan on putting it back in the channel. I'm heading to Disney World next week, so I'll see you in a couple weeks. Still here. Just gonna be taking a little bit longer to film some videos as I adjust again to real life. So thanks guys, I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one, everybody.